Welcome back to AWE TV. My name is Mark Pizer, and with us is BC Heavy Biermann of the Heavy Projects. BC, I met you, I think, 4 years ago for the first time at Daiquiri's Vox 4D Summit down in Southern California. I think, from my understanding, you were one of the first artists, creative technologists working in AR, augmenting public spaces, augmenting murals, kind of giving a different perspective on public areas, right? How did you get started in that? And what do you think about it now?
Yeah, well, just real quickly, there were others before me. Sander Veenhoff out of the Netherlands certainly being one, and he and a bunch of other guys did the takeover in the MoMA in New York, which is really cool. I think that was really one of the first sort of AR art interventions into public space, using geolocation. Okay. So I have a background in academia, and I was doing a lot of research and a lot of writing and presenting papers at academic conferences on public space and semiotics and graffiti and illegal signage in Los Angeles. But I also have a tech background, and augmented reality is something I've been interested in for actually a number of years before I even started developing it. And it was a way for me to put my academic work into practice, and to make some of my arguments visible. So I just started experimenting with some geolocation, and then really I heavily rely on feature tracking technologies.
And some of the early SDKs, like
Genio. Did a lot of work with Qualcomm Vuforia. Right. Did several projects with them. And we started, actually our first project was in New York, and we did an ad takeover with my partner Jordan Seiler, who's out of New York. And we curated work from a lot of street artists whose work was typically associated with public space advertising. And we overlaid all the content, all the ads in Times Square. So like over a billboard, I'd raise my camera to it, and then actual artwork would augment over, be overlaid over a cigarette ad, for example. That's actually correct. The main one was a big Marlboro ad in Times Square. So, and that I think is a Ron English piece that we used to overlay that Marlboro ad. Yeah.
But what's I dig that whole idea of you're showing us something, and now I have I can put my spin on something with technology. I love that. What are you trying to get across here, or is it now that everyone has the technology practically to do that, we can take things over?
Yeah, naively, I think we started in those early days just thinking, okay, we wanted to be an early voice of pushing this in artistic directions in terms of how it's first adopted by the public, because that's powerful, right? How the public first sees a new technology sort of, becomes kind of what it is in many ways, or at least how it's accepted in mainstream consciousness. And of course, advertisers were early adopters, and still are, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with advertising as a practice, but we were concerned with the overabundance of public space advertising in LA and New York, where it seemed to be the sort of the last bastion of unfiltered or advertising that you couldn't turn on or off.
Right. The billboard's there, you're
bombarded with it.
Yeah.
I guess you could just walk around like this, but
well, you can't drive like that.
You can't drive like that, that's true. And especially in LA, the super graphics, the giant LED screens and so forth, that this is just a simple way for us to problematize or draw attention to the amount of, in many cases, illegal ads, unpermitted signage.
Oh, sure.
Right, in these cities, especially Los Angeles, where graffiti, which is another form of public space messaging, privately, in the sense that private artists, not companies, public in the sense that they're putting it out there in public spaces. Right. But that was heavily prosecuted. While advertising is sort of overlooked. Yeah. And to do AR takeovers was a way to sort of draw attention to that. Okay. Legally. Yeah.
And you also have a talk here with Jay Ioro from IEEE. Tell us about what the talk's focused on, what you'd like people to walk away with.
Yeah, so this is just something that Jay and I have been riffing on for a number of years, and Jay's a really good friend.
For everyone out there, Jay was on AWE TV last year also, so check out the interview with him.
Yeah, so we've just been sort of riffing on these notions of the convergence of AR, VR. Artificial intelligence is sort of this backbone behind these technologies. AR and VR, the separation between the two is a bit arbitrary. And we see those ultimately converging into just a one mixed reality technology. But really the larger sort of social, ethical, cognitive, physiological discussions around, okay, what are these technologies doing to us, not physically, but just also in terms of family?
Okay.
If I can have if in VR my wife is perpetually of a certain age, or my kids never talk back or whatever, then how does that, when people come out of their VR world,
their perception in reality?
How does it affect family structures?
Yeah.
How does it affect the physiology of the eyes? And also the brain,
Okay.
right?
Essentially, there's underlying technology that powers this, and we don't really have visibility to what that is. The algorithms, the hardware, like you said, is the screen up close to someone's face?
Right.
Is there a disadvantage to that? So it sounds like you're trying to balance this discussion of, the technology can do new things for us, and you're kind of asking the question, good or bad? Right.
Yeah, I mean, of course, technology is generally agnostic, right? It's how people use it, but this is something that you're putting directly on your face,
Yeah.
or in your eyes, or in your brain at some point. And I'll probably be a first adopter of many of these technologies, but I'm also sort of existentially concerned with them because they're different.
Yeah.
It affects vision, not just in terms of how you physically see things, but how you sort of emotionally or mentally process the world. And we don't quite understand that yet.
Right.
And there's been some early research. I mean, VR is not new.
Right.
Some of this research has been done, or even the third wave. But recent study, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think done at UCLA with rats in VR, like 60% of the neurons shut down while in VR.
Oh wow.
So I'm trying to stay agnostic with it, but I think certainly in terms of the people that are meeting at conferences like this, that some of these discussions need to be had, right, by people of all various silos of academia, of philosophers, artists, developers, engineers, first adopters, the public.
Yeah.
I think it would do these technologies a service to sort of get ahead of the curve on those discussions.
And then, I mean, on the other side of the question, there's, well, it's VR, which I'm putting this on by my own volition, so I can choose not to, right? So that's my choice, and so in that case, if there is a disadvantage, I can learn about that and choose not to use it, right?
Yeah, and so, but in order to make that choice, you have to be informed of what the potential harm might be, and we just don't quite know that yet.
Yeah.
At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I agree. If you're going to opt in, then you should be opting in with an informed opinion.
You said you and Jay were riffing on this for a while. How did the discussion start? I mean, was it just one day you guys bump into each other and talk about?
I don't know, maybe strong drink and yeah. I mean, I have a humanities background.
Okay.
I did my doctoral work in humanities, and it's just I'm sort of for me, technology sits on top of my more philosophical interests.
Okay.
It's not an end; it's really just a means to put things in the world that I think maybe to ask questions. And maybe this is sort of where my work has taken me in some ways. And I know Jay's had a long interest in terms of sort of the ethics of some of these technologies. And we sort of share that interest in bringing that to the public consciousness, just in terms of having a dialogue.
Okay.
Not that we're the first.
Oh, sure.
But
sure.
Just it should be maybe at least a part of these type of events.
Okay. Cool. I mean, what do you think we'll learn in the next year then? You're saying we should have informed decisions for the opt-in, opt-out.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll have more information in a year from now?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's not in the corporate interest to do a ton of research proactively.
Sure.
Right. People are concerned with series funding and monetizing and so forth, and I get it.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a way to incentivize self-interest for the collective good. And I think in terms of longer-term adoption, it's important to an earlier point to stay a little bit ahead of the game in terms of, all right, what are the potential dangers of this?
Sure.
And then be transparent with that, be open with it, and then let people make informed decisions.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope we have more information for everyone's sake next year. So we'll see you again here at AWE next year.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you,
brother.
BC.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us. And thank you for joining us here at AWE TV.